Most men of God, kingdom men, want to find a Proverbs 31 type of woman to wife up. But oftentimes, because of weakness or ignorance, or simply because of the fallen world that we live in, it prevents them from accomplishing that task. Some men will even claim that there's a lack of quality women out there, but I want to pose a question to you. Could it be our actions are jacking up the dating pool and causing women to act the way that they are? I'm going to leave that one right there. Previously, I made a video called 10 Common Mistakes That Single Christian Women Make. And today I want to talk to you about 10 mistakes that single Christian men make. Hey everyone, Rob Kowalski back again with another video on how to navigate your season of singleness successfully. If you're not already a subscriber, take a moment, hit the subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell icon so you get notified when I post a new video. And then if you enjoy the video, hit the thumbs up button and leave me a comment with your biggest takeaway. Make sure you stay tuned till the end because I have some special bonuses that I want to share with you. Let's get into it. Mistake number one, they take the cookie. Fellas, we are seeped in a culture that tells us that sex is good and it's okay. And women are even offering it up to us on a silver platter. And there's really no stigma behind it right now. And many men in the church are falling for this nonsense. And if you don't understand the dynamics of sex, it's very easy to take the bait, get a soul tie, and then drift into a relationship with the wrong person. And even though you want to be free and you kind of want to play the field or maybe date other women, you can't because you fell into what I call the sex trap. So you have to understand that you cannot go about this the way that everybody else does and expect a different outcome. The word says that when I became a man, I put childish ways behind me. So all that stuff that you were doing before you came to Christ, you have to leave that in the past. I heard a quote recently that said, men are protectors and boys are predators. So fellas, we need to be protecting our sisters in Christ and helping them navigate their way to the altar to the men that do want to wife them up. Plus, if you look at this from a selfish standpoint, you can't go about this the way that everybody else does and not suffer some consequences. The word says that we shouldn't be sexually immoral or godless like Esau, who traded his birthright for a bowl of stew. What does that mean? He literally traded something permanent for something very temporary. And I believe that when we do that, we are trading our purpose and our person for something that's only going to satisfy us in the short term. So we can't do that. So be committed to sexual purity, and that will lead you to saying your best yes and ultimately your queen. Mistake number two, they don't set and keep strong boundaries. Most kingdom men, even if they do make the decision to wait, their boundaries aren't good enough to help them follow through with this decision. They like to pretend that they're stronger than they really are, and then they end up falling into sin, and the consequences are the same as if they never even tried. So you have to be very honest with yourself here. The word says to flee youthful lust. I think this is the only time in the Bible that it actually tells us to run away. So set up strong boundaries for yourself. Boundaries so strong that if you do cross them, you're not falling into sin. Mistake number three, they look for a relationship before they know their purpose. If you look all the way back at the first example of monogamy, Adam and Eve, many people think Eve was created at the same time as Adam, and she wasn't. Adam did not get a wife first. Adam got a job. There's a great principle in a book actually that I reference in Why Waiting Works, but I got it from a book called Think and Grow Rich, and it's called Sex Transmutation. It talks about how sexual energy is the strongest form of all human energies, and you can literally harness it and use it to accomplish some incredible things. It's almost like damming a river. You can hold that water back for a while, but eventually it will build up, and it finds an outlet. And that's exactly been true in my own life. That's how I started my nonprofit and wrote my books and did some other incredible things. So you want to make sure that you're doing this in the right order. Don't go out and trying to find a woman before harness that sexual energy and figuring out what you were put on this earth to do. Women want to be caught up in something. Nothing's sexier to a woman than a man that has a strong sense of purpose. And if you don't know what where you're going and what you're doing, there's a very good chance that she could lose interest in you. So if you don't know what your purpose is, now is a great time to figure that out. So if you're having sex outside of marriage, stop it. If you're masturbating and jerking off, just stop doing all of that. Start figuring out what your purpose is. Ask God to show you, and when He does show you, start to take action on those things. Mistake number four, they lead with physical attraction. Look, men are visual, but beauty can be a trap, and many of men fall into that trap. I've done it myself several times. Look, I'm not saying that physical attraction isn't important, because it is important, but over time it becomes less important. Actually, physical attraction fades to the point where you could be laying next to the hottest girl in the world and not want to have sex with her if the connection isn't deep. So you want to make sure that you're not leading with that. It's okay to want that, but you should also be looking at a woman's character. What lies below the surface, and is there anything of substance there? Here's a stat. 97% of the population does not wait to have sex. Here's another stat. The divorce rate's 50%. If that isn't bad enough, of the 50% that stay married, half of them stop having regular sex after year 4. So think about that. All these people led with physical attraction, and most of them either ended up divorced or in a marriage where they weren't even having sex. So again, physical attraction is not a bad thing. It is important, but make sure that you're not leading with it and making the mistake that most people make. Mistake number 5, they don't open up to other men. Men like to portray themselves as strong, and oftentimes they keep secrets and they don't share their struggles with each other. But look, fellas, we need accountability with each other. We can't be lone wolves. Actually, if you know anything about a lone wolves starve to death or they freeze to death. We need wolf packs. We need to stick together. We need to share our secrets. Something that they say in the program is you're only as sick as your secrets. There's actually a spiritual component to this. The word says when you confess your sins to one another that you can pray for each other and be healed. But when you don't confess it, it's hard to get over things, or maybe even impossible. So you want to make sure that you have people that you can be honest with and transparent with. Sin cannot grow in the light. Don't try to do life alone. So find a mentor, find some men that have successful marriages, and then be very open and honest with them and then receive feedback. Mistake number 6, they settle. Fellas, look, the wait can be hard for multiple reasons. You're literally going through a roller coaster of emotions. You're lonely, you're horny, you're depressed, you're bored. And I've seen a lot of people just tap out because they didn't want to do it anymore. I've been tempted to do it many times myself. Rather than waiting for God to give me that perfect person, that Mrs. Right, I just thought, well, let's just choose somebody already so you can get past this. But again, this is where the importance of community comes in. When you have a like-minded group of people to do life with, it makes the wait so much easier. The other thing you can do is make a list. Have some non-negotiables of what it is you're looking for, but actually spell it out in detail what your ideal mate would look like so you can spot the right ones and avoid the wrong ones. But even still, while you're waiting for this person to come along, remember, it's better to be single and lonely than with the wrong person and unhappy. And if God hasn't given you the green light about dating and or marrying a woman, you're only going to be kicking the can further down the road and setting yourself up for future pain. Mistake number 7, pornography. According to Barna, 68% of Christian men watch pornography. And I think a lot of them probably do it because they feel like it's better than going out and having sex with someone and pulling them into their sin. And that may be true on some level, but the negative effects of pornography are very well documented. It leads to all kinds of negative things like depression and anger and anxiety, and it kills love and destroys marriages and just ruins lives. It's also been known to rewire your brain almost like a drug and make it harder to have healthy sexual relationships and marriages. So if this is something that you're struggling with, you want to be able to get it into the light. Have a mentor or an accountability partner, somebody that can pray for you and that you can be completely honest with. There's also software out there like Covenant Eyes that can help you fight this battle. Mistake number 8, they come on too strong. Fellas, when we like a woman, it is hard to play it cool. But if you're too eager, especially in the beginning, you could very easily scare her away. So you don't want to commit too fast. You want to pray and take your time and make sure that God's giving you the green light to date this woman. And you also don't want to make your whole life about this woman. Now, I'm not saying don't treat her like a queen and make her feel like she's the only woman in the world because you want to do all that. But nothing is sexier to a woman than a man that is going somewhere. So have things outside of the relationship to work on. If you make your whole life and your focus all about her, she'll very likely lose interest. Women want to play an irreplaceable part in a great adventure. So it's your job to give her that part. So work on yourself, your life, your craft, and your vision. Don't be so focused on her that you neglect your purpose, your friends, or your relationship with God. You are the priest of your home, and it is your responsibility to lead her well. Mistake number 9, they undervalue themselves. I see a lot of Christian men that have a low opinion of themselves. They think and speak negatively about themselves like no one would ever want them, and because of that, no one wants them. Confidence is extremely sexy. No woman wants to date a Debbie Downer or a negative Nancy. They want an alpha man. Fellas, you need to realize that if you're a kingdom man that's waiting to have sex before marriage, you already stand out. It would be like being a 6'3" blonde hair guy in China. You're exotic, so you just need to know your worth and walk in it. Mistake number 10, they do life alone. There's an underlying message in American masculinity that basically says to need others is unmanly. So a lot of men don't develop healthy community. And because of that, they oftentimes fall into sin, out of loneliness or boredom or just not having some outside perspective from a friend to tell them how crazy this next one that they've been dating is. So that's not something that you want to do because again, the wait is hard to do alone. This is where the importance of a small group comes in. The way to develop a healthy community is to find a group of people that you relate to and start to add value to their lives and let them add value to yours. We have an organization called CityFam, and it's all about having fun without regret and becoming the best version of ourselves and supporting each other in the process. Find or start a chapter today. You can find more information at cityfam.com. Okay, so those were my 10 mistakes single Christian men make. If you enjoyed it, hit the thumbs up button, leave me a comment below with your biggest takeaway, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. I post lots of videos on how to navigate your season of singleness successfully. Check out my website, Rob B. Kowalski. I have a great course there called UnleashTheBestYou.com, all designed to help you become that kingdom man and really maximize your time off. And last but not least, check out my podcast, Kowalski Analysis. You can listen to it everywhere that podcasts can be found. Until next video, I'll see you then.